Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to our 10th episode, our special 10th episode of the Growth Street Podcast. I'm your host, Darsh Patel, and I could not be more excited to be joined by a dear friend and honestly corporate master currently working at Deutsche Bank in New York. With no further introduction, welcome.
Hi, my name is Natalia. I'm happy to be here, Darsh. Thank you for having me.
No, it's my pleasure, Nat. You say Natalia, I'm going to call you Nat.
Oh, yeah, sure thing.
I've known you for what now, 3 or 4, maybe 4
Longer.
or 5 years now.
Yeah,
5
maybe
years,
5,
wow.
yeah.
And we met, actually, it's a funny story how we met, right?
Tell the people.
So everyone, as you guys know, I was in a professional business fraternity called Phi Chi Theta. And during one of my rush events was when we did like a, kind of like a get to know each other in like a very short, kind of like speed dating, but for friends, right? And I get to sit around with Nat, I get to her seat, and she asks me, because everyone on the outer ring were current brothers, they would ask us, a funny question to get started. And remember what you asked me or no? Do you remember?
Do you listen to Playboy Cardi?
That's what she asked me. Do I listen to Playboy Cardi? No, you don't. And from then I knew, instant friend. But no, since then it's been crazy. We've had such a good life, been crazy. We went to college together for 3 years now. And you, when I first got to know you, a bit about you, I was shocked because you played D1 basketball for UMBC.
Yeah.
You then transferred to Maryland.
Yeah.
Internship for Microsoft, and now you're working at one of the biggest banks in the world.
Yes.
How'd you do it?
That's a very loaded question, Darsh. So I guess what should I start with? D1 or basketball growing up?
I'm just curious about for you.
Yeah.
When did this, how did this begin? I guess talk about how you started getting basketball, D1 basketball journey, and how that turned into you ending up at Maryland.
Yeah. So it's a pretty sad story, honestly. But I grew up playing basketball my entire life. I was pretty much in the sport since I was 2 or 3 years old. And my whole entire dream growing up was to play Division I basketball prior to knowing a lot of other things. But obviously I had big aspirations athletically. But in addition to being a good player on the court, I was also a star player in the classroom. My parents always drilled in a good work ethic, having discipline, and not only being good at basketball and living your life on the court, but also being able to have the grades. So I came to junior year or senior year of high school, and I realized that, I'm pretty good at basketball, good enough to go D1, but I'm also good enough to go to, quite frankly, any school I want to go to. This was the first big decision of my life, and I really didn't know what I should be doing. Should I follow my heart and play basketball, or should I follow my mind and my parents and go to maybe an Ivy League or whatnot?
So it was a good problem to have in
it's a good problem.
But dude, you're underselling yourself to it. Being a Division I athlete, that is no joke. Yeah. I tried to be on the freshman basketball team myself. I tried to play football myself, and I know what it's like to even get on the team. Mm-hmm. You were on the team and you crushed it, and you're being, Division I is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it took a lot. Honestly, when all of my friends were going out and partying in high school, I was going to the shore and practicing with the best girls in the state. I was constantly in a tournament, being flown out for tournaments, being seen in front of scouts. It was such a time, but unfortunately, I tore my ACL. Oh my God. The first time I tore my ACL was maybe a week before I was about to play in front of the head coaches of an Ivy League tournament. So I was getting recruited by Columbia, Harvard, Yale, all of them. I did visits to all of them as well. But unfortunately, the head coach had to see me play for each of those teams. So I ended up tearing my ACL, not being able to play. And at the time, I had 2 scholarships, and I decided to go with UMBC. Okay. That was a pivotal decision for me because I didn't really know too much about UMBC. I was moving away from home. I grew up in Jersey, in South Brunswick, just 10 minutes outside of Princeton. Yeah, no, literally. It's really close to here, and I'm so happy you're from Jersey. That's one of the reasons we also bonded.
That's why we had that connection.
No, yeah, for sure. And I decided to go to UMBC, and I'll keep this next year so short because I ended up tearing my ACL for the second time, back to back.
ACL tears?
My first game back where I was fully cleared to play, I tore it again. And then this is already maybe 8 months, 9 months into my tenure at UMBC. And I really sat down and I was like, the basketball, something's telling me that this is not for me. I have so much more to me than basketball, and I need to go figure that out. So I ended up hanging up the gloves and deciding to transfer to the University of Maryland, College Park. And that's where I pursued a double major, finance and information systems, and I joined Phi Chi. And it was a really transformative period for me because I had to figure out who I was as a person and because when you're an athlete and you make all your friends through basketball or you're basically known as the star player, who are you besides that? So those couple years were really transformative at University of Maryland. I'm so happy that we joined the same business frat. It was amazing people. And honestly, without them, I don't think I would be where I am today. There was a major support group there. We were surrounded by like-minded people with diversity of thought, diversity of background, and just a widespread like dedication to success. And don't get me wrong, we had our fun times too. You know, we had our good time. And I won't go too much into detail of like what was happening, but it was just good times, to put it like that.
I mean, for one, I can't really just to hear that you tore your ACL again, the first game back.
Yeah.
For one, that's crazy. What I will say is, I'm not glad you tore your ACL, but I'm glad you tore your ACL.
No, literally.
Because of that, I mean, I got to know you.
Yeah.
And for one, I think even from my experience, everyone I know has really had a hard point in college at some point, whether it's your freshman year, whether it's your senior year. Everyone goes through a big, almost like self-reflection moment of, this is who I was, but I feel like I'm changing. I feel like I'm actually becoming a different person. My interests are shifting. And for you, I mean, it sounds like it was when you shifted from basketball to almost now being a student and like really diving into that. So I'm really curious about when you made that shift, you started really, I mean, crushing it right away, right? Like getting to the Smith School of Business in Maryland is no easy feat. I couldn't do that. I tried myself. And doing that, joining a fraternity, business fraternity, but then also getting an internship at Microsoft. So I'm a bit curious now how you went from those struggles to succeeding when transferring to a big school like Maryland.
Yeah, I think there's a number of things at play here. I think first and foremost, I have always prided myself on academics and working hard in the classroom, because I know maybe academics don't translate to real life skills. I know it just goes into like having a job and whatnot, but I took learning seriously, and I love to learn inside the classroom. I love to learn outside the classroom. I've treated everything as a learning experience. And yeah, I don't want to gloss over the fact that college is a difficult time for most people. It was a difficult time for myself included, but this is another point that I would say, like, I recognize that life is pain, life is suffering. Like, you need to get through these hard moments to figure out truly who you are and who you're going to be in those types of situations. So I welcome the challenges. But yeah, it was not an easy road. It was not an easy road to get there. I'm actually look back and I kind of asked myself, how did I do that? How did I
look where you are now?
Like,
you're crushing it.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, like I was just like, how did that happen? And I was just, it amazes me what I'm capable of and what I was capable of, and I always look to my past to kind of inform me about my future. And if I can go through a tough time like that and still end up getting these jobs and still end up being surrounded by the people that I would like to be surrounded by, then I can virtually do anything, and like the ambition just carries over.
For one, bouncing back from the injuries, and then I'm sure, again, college itself, when you went to Maryland, I'm sure that wasn't easy either.
Yeah.
You mentioned that it was a hard time for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I can really relate to you when you say that, because for me, college was not an easy time either. For me, like yourself, I'm not from the area, came in with no friends. It's hard to make that adjustment. When I started off as a biology major. My parents are like, I want you to take the hardest math class, the hardest science class. I want you to be a doctor. When I was in high school, I had zero thoughts about my career ever. I was like, I'm just going to go to college and figure it out. So going there, that was hard for myself too, because I realized, oh my God, this is the hardest moment in my life. I never really had, I would say I'm pretty grateful for my life growing up. I would say it was comfortable and not comfortable at times, but I never had like real pressing moments where I had like mental health battles and things like that, right? My freshman year of college, though, hit me like a truck. Like, I lose my relationship for my first real relationship. My grades are in the mud. My parents are, oh my God, we're, helping you, supporting you, we're paying all this money for you to go to college, and you're doing terrible in the classroom. I have no friends at the time too. And I'm like, oh my God, it was so hard. But then I picked it back up, like you were saying. I kind of started to figure it out slowly but surely. And then I fast forward to now, when I was in Chicago. Another one of my hardest years of my life. We were talking about it in the car earlier.
Yes, we were.
Everyone after they graduate college has their moment
wow.
Life wakes you up, hits you in the face.
Yeah.
And again, it's because I struggled that year at Maryland that I think now, I know at the end of this road, there's a golden sky waiting for me, right? I know it's going to work out. So when I hear you talk about these struggles, and everyone watching at home, whether you're in college or you're struggling right now, it's going to work out. As long as you can make it through that first hurdle, then you can always look back in your past and say, you know what, I can come out of this.
Mm-hmm. Everything's going to be okay. As long as your life is just in the present moment. All you need to do is make sure that you're focused on the present moment, doing what you need to do. Like, if you're stuck in the past, you're not really living in the present. And if you're stuck worrying about the future, you're also not living the present moment, and life will pass you by.
They say in the past, if you live in the past, you're depressed.
Yeah.
If you live in the future, you're anxious. So living in the present is where you're actually going to find genuine happiness, because if you're always worried about the past, you're going to be all nostalgic and be worried. You're gonna be reflecting, oh my God, I should have said this, I could have done that. You're not gonna be able to move forward. If you're looking in the future, now you're anxious, now you're nervous. Oh my God, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna handle this? And that's gonna stress you out.
Yeah.
So no matter what, if you're not living in the moment, that is where your inner thoughts become darker. And living in the present, where you're still gonna struggle, of course, but that's when you're gonna find joy in what you're doing in the little moments that are going to be kind of happening.
No, agreed. I think maintaining awareness in the present moment is one of the hardest skills that anyone could really master. And I meditate, so I think that's also one of the activities or hobbies, if you will, that got me to like being able to be who I am today. So again, if you're struggling at home, I would totally recommend reaching out for help first and foremost, and second, just know you're going to be okay. Your past does not inform your future. You just need to stay motivated and just know everything will be okay.
And learn
Trust
from it,
yourself.
yeah.
Trust yourself.
Yeah.
Life is a process. Trust
Yeah.
yourself. You're the only one living your life. You can't go to someone and ask them for advice on your life. It's your life.
Yeah, and again, I think we talked about this also before, is that everyone has an opinion on how you should live your life,
Yeah.
right? You're from your parents
Yep.
to your siblings to your friends. Only you actually know in what you want, right? So I think, again, where mostly people watching are young adults. Like, this is your time to like really trust in yourself and believe what you want to believe in and go for it.
Yeah, it is.
So then I think about, you being in college, right? So now let's shift to your college experience.
Yeah.
How did you make it a good one? Because again, talk about it. You transfer now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
now boom. Now you wake up, you're at University of Maryland College
Yeah, yeah.
Park, you're a Terp, you're
Yep,
here
yep,
now.
yep.
No more basketball, you're a student.
Yeah.
How did you
Yeah.
make it this amazing experience where everyone knows Nat Lou now? So how did you make college,
I would,
kind of your baby? How'd you do it?
I would say, so I transferred like starting sophomore year, and I lived off campus at this point. Not a lot of people know this, but I lived off campus, was commuting, like literally driving down Baltimore
wow.
Avenue
Okay,
to get to
that's
school. I wasn't that social until I recognized that I have a network here. There was a couple of people that went to my high school that went there, like Ryan and Rachel, 2 Ryans actually. But I reached out to them, and they kind of got me started with my network. And Rachel, she's in Phi Chi. Big ups to her.
Hecht.
Rachel Hecht.
She went to South Brunswick?
Yeah, she went to South
Wow,
Brunswick. We
that's
grew up
crazy.
together. And
Shout
she
out
has,
Rachel.
literally shout out Rachel. She has been pivotal in my college career, honestly, in terms of building my social circle. And then it wasn't until junior year where I joined Phi Chi. And honestly, Phi Chi gave me the rest of the friends that I didn't think I needed, but I did need at the time. So I would say, I don't know. I just went out there and I was like, this is my time to define who I am. People don't know that I just came from a D1 school where I was playing basketball. Yeah. It's time for me to basically let people know who I am through my actions. And who I am, I'm just very talkative. I love just being social. I love going out. And that's just who I was. And honestly, a lot of people just saw goodness in me and vice versa. And that just led to a lot of relationships being nourished. And that honestly have supported me throughout my collegiate career.
Yeah, I think, again, once you find your home at college, that's when the whole game changes.
Yeah.
For me, it was when I look back at myself, my whole freshman year, again, I had my friends in my hall, right? Everyone in my dorm room, those couple, 4 or 5 friends. But actually, there was a group of 5 of us. And the other 4 chose to live together the year after. So then I was like, oh my God. I felt like, wow, I don't have people here. I have friends, sure, going out, friends who I'll hang out with, I'll go to their dorm. But I didn't have a genuine group. I didn't have community. So then my whole shift was, okay, how do I figure this out? So I actually lived like you lived off campus. You lived by yourself?
Yes, by myself.
I was in a single by myself too. The comical hall with the roaches. It was not the best experience. But then through that, again, I slowly started to meet people. The same way that you knew kids from high school, I knew kids from a sleepaway camp that I would go to. I went to this camp called Vrudge Camp. It was a sleepaway camp in Pennsylvania where it's a lot of Indian, Hindu people who come from our part of India in Gujarat. And we would all kind of spend a week living together, learning about our history, but also hanging out and having a good time. We're kids, right? But then a lot of the kids I knew from there actually went to Maryland. So when my sophomore year started, I was kind of like, F these kids from last year. I want to hang around with a new crowd. So I hung out with them. And one of the friends I met through them, because they were all on a dance team, an Indian dance team called Ras. And I knew them through there. And one girl on that Ras team, Bharti.
Yes, of course.
And Bharti, I met her through them. And she was honestly one of my only friends my first semester of sophomore year. And we were tight every day. We go to the library. Every day we'd hang out. And then she told me, she's like, this thing called Phi Chi, like you should come. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to pay for friends.
The golden words.
Literally the golden words. I'm not going to pay for friends, but I want to join a fraternity. What's the point in that? It's not for me. I don't need that, whatever. I had pride. I had super pride back then. And she said, come out to me one time. Just come with me once and see what happens. So what do? I go to one event. And it was a big meet and greet, 2019. No, spring 2020.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I was hooked. I was like, wow, these are all people that I want to be like, because for one, they were all people who were smart, achieving, and they were just cool people. But
Yeah.
people like yourself, I talked to you probably, and I was like, I need to be here now.
Yeah.
And I always give this advice to college students because, again, when everything else in your life is going well, it makes things like school easier. It makes things like work easier. Everything helps each other.
Yeah.
So for me, I think we're very similar to where our first 2 years of college were kind of chalked.
Yeah.
But we figured it out at some point where we realized that once we find our community, everything can change like that.
And community matters. And I don't want to gloss over the point where people you've met in the past, you never know how they could be of help to you in the future, whether that be just being there for you as a friend, whether that be career-wise in a job. So never burn bridges, never ever burn bridges, and always put your best foot forward in every relationship you have.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, again, everyone might not be meant to be your best friend, right? But I think it's all about like being a good person. Like, for example, like not believing in preconceived notions. What people say about someone, right? Like, let's say someone told me about you and there was something really negative when I joined Phi Chi. Some people would be like, why would everyone talk to someone who believes in that, who thinks that? But then once you start to get to know someone, that's when real relationships are born. And I think relationships are also really important when it comes to jobs and internships, because that's when you kind of are able to bond with mentors, recruiters, things like that. So now I kind of want to shift again because you had some really unique opportunities while you were in college too. Yeah. So you were able to, I know, do an internship and kind of like you did a 3-day program for a couple companies. And then because of those, you end up at Microsoft. So I would love to learn a bit more about how you went from student now to almost an aspiring professional, kind of through the things that you've done.
I would say at College Park, the one thing that helped me the most was the Smith Finance Club or group. That they refined my resume. They really taught me like how to be a finance person, essentially. And when you're young, most people or employers are not really looking for what you've done because you haven't really done much at that point.
Yeah.
So you need to show that you're interested in things, and which I did. I was joining clubs. I was joining the business fraternity. I was doing some outside research. I was connecting with like my family that like had children, and it was just it was all over the place because quite frankly, when you're a sophomore, junior, senior, even senior in college, there's nothing to your name. There's really nothing. You still even now I feel like there's nothing to my name, and I'm 2 years out of college.
1 or 2 companies.
Exactly. That there's this book. It's called The Defining Decade. The author I forget, but everyone must read it. It's basically goes on about how your 20s essentially, or your 20s, or maybe even 20 to 30 or 22 to 32, that defining decade, this point of your life, you don't have any proof about you. Like you can create the life you want to create. You just need to take responsibility for it. So I think that's how basically in college that I got to do those things. I was just very open-minded. I was open-minded. I think that I can put it on that. When you come from high school, you kind of have your group. You don't really want to join clubs because you're like, I don't really know. I don't know anyone, but you need to put yourself out there. And I think ultimately what got me attendance to these conferences or these internships is I put myself out there. I was not afraid to go network with someone. I was not afraid to join these clubs and take help when needed, because you need help when you're in college. You don't have anything. Yeah. So I think, that's essentially what I did.
So what was the first internship, or what was the first conference you went to? I know you went to 2 conferences, and then you went to Microsoft.
Yeah,
so I would love to hear how you kind of laddered from your first one into the internship.
What a time ago, I must say. What a time ago. So the JP Morgan conference, if I remember correctly, it was the first sophomore leadership conference that JP Morgan was holding. And I'm sorry, this is so long ago.
Turning back the clock.
Yeah, no, but I think I just applied because you had to be chosen, and I just put my resume through and I kind of wrote kind of like a submission, and they picked me, and I was about like one and maybe, I don't even know how many, this is such a long time ago. But it was basically a conference where we got exposed to the finance industry through the lens of JP Morgan. We got to sit down with current analysts or associates and kind of learn about their day-to-day, and they kind of know you don't know anything. So it was just very much a learning experience.
You're there to be a sponge.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was. And the next conference I went to was Microsoft. So it was pretty much very similar in that regard. But at the end of the Microsoft conference, they invited us to apply for full-time roles. And that's how I got the full-time role at Microsoft after attending the conference. So yeah, if you're too young to have an internship yet, or you're never too young really, but if you don't want an internship, you kind of want like a short program that you can just get flown out. This is pre-COVID. I'm not sure what they're doing now, but you'll get flown out. You can get to meet people, network in the company, and then they'll invite you to interview, and then you apply, and you have some sort of advantage over others. Yeah, it's because they know you.
How do you find these conferences? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like most people watching at home, they're probably like, oh, how can I find this? Where do I look?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just go if you let's say JP Morgan on their career website, they advertise these conferences. So even where they have the job listings, they'll have the conferences that you can attend. That was that. There was also word of mouth. There's also a third party. I believe I was part of an SEO group, and essentially they linked me up with people in JP Morgan. But also, it's just network, just know people, join clubs, join groups, because people are able to help you, and you just need to not be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah. I think the big thing too is like, if you're telling yourself to look for something, there's a higher chance you find it.
Yeah.
For example, right now, if I tell you, look around this room for things that are yellow.
Yeah.
And honestly do it right now. Look around this room, right? Right. You're going to see all the things that are yellow. But if I asked you 5 minutes ago, and how many yellow things have you seen when you walked in? You might not have known, right?
Yeah.
So the same applies to when it goes to internships and jobs. If you're having an eye out for internships, for jobs, now you're gonna maybe go on LinkedIn one more time a day.
Yeah.
When you're at the business school, you're gonna have your eye out for the word internship on the TV screens, right? That's kind of how you look for it. And again, most kids that are freshmen, it's funny because I'm currently launching an internship program for the summer, and I've actually had over 10 high school applicants and freshman year in college applicants.
Starting them young.
And maybe some of them are gonna come on, some of them won't, but people want opportunities, right? And I think people don't know where to look. So I think the big thing I really want people to know from hearing your story is there's so many ways to find things. You have to just keep your eye open for them, right? Even just look up like 3-day workshop, Microsoft, 3-day workshop on all the companies you want to work for. Like literally, you can do this right now. Write down 50 companies you want to work for, and then write down conference. And maybe one of them will have a conference this summer. I'm sure someone will, because they know students need that stuff. So yeah, I think that's amazing that you did that, because I never even heard that existed until you said it. And the fact that it literally helped you get your internship is huge. I think a lot of kids would love to say, I was intern at Microsoft. So yeah, I mean, now I'd love to hear a bit more about that internship experience.
Yeah.
Like, what was it like interning big company? First big internship at Microsoft. That's a big boy, right?
Yeah.
So what was that experience?
Well, I must preface it. This was right when COVID hit, so I unfortunately was not able to fly out to Redmond, Washington. This was completely remote, and they didn't really. Like every company, they were scrambling. They didn't really know what to do. They were sending out laptops. They didn't really know how the program was going to be structured, et cetera. So it was definitely a learning process for the interns as well as those who are running the program. But essentially, I was on the AI investment strategy team, and as an intern, you're not really expected to do much. You're just there to learn, to be a sponge, essentially. But working
in AI too.
At that, it was very interesting. And the AI that I was basically, I guess, in close contact with during my time there, like virtually, was basically like speech to text, text to speech, like those kinds of accessibility options. Yeah, exactly. So what my job was, as simple as it sounds now, because I'm literally so light years beyond this, it was just analyzing gross margin ratios for each of these different sectors within Azure. Okay. Yeah.
And how did you like that experience? Most people are always like, 'cause it's also remote, so it was very different. I mean, I'm sure it was not exactly what you expected, because COVID was unique for all of us. But what made it a good experience? What did you wish you could change? What do you wish you learned more? Like, how would you reflect if you think about it now? Like, how would you reflect on that experience?
First of all, I'm very thankful for Microsoft for extending the internship and giving me the opportunity to do that for a summer between my junior and senior year. Second, it's just, if I had to go back, remember I told you I had a very tough time in college. This was honestly, COVID was the crux of like everything. I was depressed. I was anxious. Like I was not seeing a reason for it all, but still I had to wake up and log onto this computer and do my project, which I did. But if I had to go back, I would just kind of tell myself it's going to be okay, because like every single day I logged on, I was like, what is going on?
I'm a robot going onto a computer.
That, but it's just like with COVID, there was a little bit less like tangible, like you never really had context for the things you were doing, because you're not getting together with your intern class at the end of the day and like going out or whatever. Like you're not doing that. Like you literally just open up, log on, log off. And then it's just like, it just wasn't fun for me. And especially what really pivoted my career, like instead of doing finance at a tech company and just I wanted a more technical role. I didn't want to be a supporting role at a tech company, because when you're like in finance, yeah, sure, you make a lot of money, but I never felt like I was learning anything like so substantial. Like I said, I wanted something more tech. I want to work at a bank. I want to work at a financial institution. That's what I want to do. I don't want to, but
you want to make impact.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people will like a tech company due to their They're very comfortable
Yeah,
pay for sure.
Trust me, I know,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, comfortable pay, but it's just like doing finance, at least at that tech company, was not for me. And it might be for whoever's listening, but for me, that's when I realized I wanted to do more like banking.
And I think that's different for everyone. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of also, that's the whole point of internships. The whole point is not to go there and, kick ass, take names, be the
Yeah.
best one there,
Yeah.
get a full, I mean, that's inherently one of the possibilities, one of the outcomes. But you're there to learn about what you like, see, get that first experience in a corporate environment.
Yeah.
What it's like to have actual managers, how to report important by deadlines, how to excel in maybe difficult challenges, how to work with a team on a high quality project, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's for. And again, it's like, to see if you like the damn job.
Yeah,
See if you like the
exactly,
damn work you do,
exactly.
right? Because you're saying yourself, that experience more than anything taught you that you didn't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So then from there, you're able to pivot, and now you said you want to work more technical, and now look at this. You're literally at a bank now working on hands-on being technical with that stuff. Because again, I agree with you. I mean, for me, I did kind of reverse. I worked for Bloomberg first as an intern, and then I went to a more tech-based company at LinkedIn. And again, I think things always change. Yeah. When I was at LinkedIn, again, it was like the #2 company to work for. I think second to Cisco. And I had the dream life. I would go into the office. I'd have free coffee, free bagels, free croissants every day. Play some ping pong in the game room. It was like a Black Mirror level environment. Like you're like, oh my god, is this real? Like this is where people work.
Yeah.
And then I'd go to lunch. They'd have lobster. They'd have steak. All for
Lobster.
free. All for free.
They don't have that at Deutsche Bank.
Deutsche Bank, guys, get you.
Yeah.
But,
Take notes.
but it just felt like I was living in like a sim. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And the experiences you learn from that, you guys what you like, what you don't like, right? Obviously, I liked all those anemones and everything like that, but I didn't love the work. I didn't love, what my impact was there. And from there, again, I pivoted to what I'm doing now. It's all about learning wherever you are. It's like what you like, what do you like, what do you want to do now, and a lot of self-assessment. So now I'm going to fast forward again, keep going past your journey, right? We're going through all the different chapters.
All right, we're zooming by.
Yeah, I know. Now we're back in 2022, 2023 now.
Yeah.
And now you're graduated college.
Yep.
You're figuring life out. And this is where
say
a
the
lot of
least.
people struggle after college. So I'd love to learn what it was like for you getting your job, but also kind of navigating what it was like post-grad.
Oh, it was, I have like no words to describe this time after college. Like this first year after college was absolutely insane in terms of the level of growth that I experienced, but also how much I struggled because you go from college where you have like a pretty regimented schedule. You're going to classes if you're going to classes, and then you're like, you're hanging out with your friends, and then you're going out, like whatever. But here it's like you're standing on your own 2 feet, and you don't have this support system of someone down the street living in the dorm, like down the street.
That you've had for 3 years.
No, exactly. You really needed to, and also there's this thing in college where it's just like I felt like I kind of molded my mind to the people that were around me, and now that I didn't have that constant validation day in and day out through my friend group, it was like, what do I stand for? What do I really want to make of this life, etc. So yeah, that first year out of college, it was brutal. And I talked to some of the first year analysts now, and they're saying the same thing. I just think it's a way of life. You need to kind of figure out who you are as a person, because in college, you're under a mask. You're under the guise of social activities, like these
You're
friends.
defined by your environment.
No,
You're defined by your
exactly.
group.
But when you're here and when you're living, and I live in the city, when you get into the city, I'm like, I'm literally nobody. Like, who am I? I want to make a name for myself. What do I want to do? Who do I want to be remembered as? I'm like, this college thing has gone. It has went. Like now I'm on the next chapter in my life, and I think that's why a lot of people get not upset, but like a little bit depressed. It's like letting go of that, because college is fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, but that's something you need to do once, and you need to take what you learned and just take it to the next stage of your life. A lot of people get depressed because they don't want to let go of that.
And I think
life.
a lot of it too is whenever, for example, once you graduate, now let's say you're in your apartment with yourself, maybe with a roommate. You're now working 9 to 5. Where in college class, you maybe had class for 2-3 hours a day. And then by the time you're done working, you're too tired to go hang out, or you don't have enough friends to go hang out with because you're restarting. And what ends up happening, like it happened for myself, is I was just alone in my own thoughts. Yeah. And when you're alone with your thoughts, when you're starting something brand new in a new place, it's not easy. But again, it's like, how can you take care of one thing at a time? So for example, I would love to hear kind of how you got your job. Like how did you get Deutsche Bank? And I know I'm sure it was a difficult transition, but what was that experience like? Because I'm sure that was one of the bright spots.
It was. So it was nearing towards, and I graduated in December of 2021. So the second semester, like spring semester of, I guess, 22, I was just working a campus job, just applying. Nothing was really sticking, honestly. Deutsche Bank was the one place where I just submitted my resume online, like did not know anyone, like just cold submitted it, and I just got a call back. And they wanted to take a bet on me, and they called me for interviews and whatnot. So it was really as simple as that. And it was also at a time in my life where, and everyone's lives, like it was just after COVID, like everything is a little bit still uncertain at that point. You didn't really know what was going to happen. No, it was a dark time for a lot of us in college. But yeah, so I just went through that process, and I was the only employer that I interviewed with, and I'm so thankful, because everything happens for a reason. I cannot stress this enough. Like, if I wasn't meant to work there, I would not have gotten it, nor would I have accepted it. Like, and look at where I am today. If I didn't work at Deutsche Bank, like, I mean, yeah, like, just you gotta wait. I'm loading up. You just gotta give me a couple years, but. Yeah, I think every experience is necessary, and don't get discouraged in the job market. You just gotta try your luck, and what's meant for you will come to you. Like, you do not have to force anything that is like meant for you.
Yeah, I have a fun relationship with everything's meant to happen for a reason. Because I believe that 100%, but I also do believe that like you control what's meant for you at the same time, right? Because if you are putting in the work, let's say you have a dream to work for the Dallas Cowboys. That was my dream as a sophomore. I would say it was meant for me if I got the opportunity because I worked for that opportunity. Whereas, let's say you end up after college, I'm not going to say something too bad, but let's say you end up like homeless for whatever reason. You can't say this was meant to be. Like this was not meant for me.
I definitely think there's a balance.
There
definitely is a balance. Like, you need to not force things that are just not meant for you, but also you need to take charge of your own life. You need to take responsibility, because you can't sit around and expect things to just come to you. No one is responsible for your own life except for you. And if you're going to sit and say, oh, well, one day, like maybe I'll just get there, like just so happens if it's meant for me, whatever. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying take responsibility for your own life. And if you have issues in your life or things that you want to solve, you will never solve those problems until you take responsibility for the problem.
And that's when it resolves itself.
Yes, exactly. Like, you need to, like, especially in this age, at this age, it's kind of easy. Like, you knew what you had to do. Like, you finish high school, you go to college, if you go to college, or you kind of have that structure. But once you graduate college, there's no structure. Your life is completely in your own hands, and you cannot be upset if 5 years down the line, you find yourself staring at yourself and you're like, I hate this. What have you been doing in the last 5 years of your life?
Think about it this way too, right? After we all graduated from high school, let's say we were all at Maryland, you're at UMBC, things like that. We all think back, oh my God, I wish I would have studied more for the SAT. Oh my God, I wish I would have did more in class. Every single person I know has that thought. Because they always say, oh, maybe I could have went to Duke, or I could have went to this school, or I could have went to the school, my dream school. But because of how I did, now I'm here. And don't ignore that thought, because it's the same as going to apply to you in college. The amount of people, some of my friends and people I know from Phi Chi, from my hometown, that graduate college and they're like, shit, I don't have a job, or I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I do empathize with them, because that's a hard thing, and we all have our own things that we deal with in school and things like that. But you knew in high school afterwards what you had to do to get into a good college. You know in college now, because of that experience, what you got to be doing to be going to where you want to go. So my big thing I always tell college students is, don't make getting a job your life in college. It's not the point of college. The goal of college is to figure out who you are and what you like, and who your friends are, what kind of personalities you have, what interests you want to chase, what dreams do you have. But at the same time, you know what you got to get done. Don't fail your classes. Don't not attend your career fairs. Like, even if you spend 1 or 2 hours a week applying for something or talking and networking, that's gonna get you ahead more than someone who's not. And then that way, when you're graduated or you're in that summer internship, you have something for you. Because I don't think, again, there's a timeline. This is another topic we can go into too, but I don't think there's a necessary timeline that you have to follow. Like, you don't have to have a job, 6-figure job out of college. You don't have to have that. You don't have to have, $1 million by the time you're 30. You don't have to have that. But you have to know, like, what you want to what will make you happy, right? Like, if you're 24 and you're making, let's say, $30,000 a year, if that's good for you, good. But if that's not what you want, then you have to, like, go out and make that happen. And how do you do that? I mean, now we're so fortunate we have so many resources to have that, but you know in your heart what you got to be doing, right? So I'm curious for you now, what do you think, like, when you reflect back on your time, going back to your college experience, if you're going back to, 19-year-old Nat, and she had her own dream, she had her own dream company, all that stuff, what would you tell her for her to get to where she wants to be in life?
Set goals, honestly. I think a lot of people, and young people, and me included at the time, I did not have any goals. I didn't have a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year goal. Yeah. I think when you have a goal and you drill it down to what you need to be doing on a monthly, weekly, daily basis, that really informs your routine and you kind of know what you need to do every day. Yeah. For college, unfortunately, I didn't really have goals. Like, yes, I have like goals, but I never really, it was not specific enough for me to create actions out of that. So if I were to go back, I would say I would need to make goals and stick to that goal and drill it down to little by little to make sure I'm improving every single day. But yeah, I mean, I would say that.
No, I think goals are a big one, and I'm passionate about the goals topic too because some people make the mistake of thinking too far into the future. Yeah. Some people will say, when they let's say they get into college or let's say they just graduated, in 4 years I want to be a VP or I want to be a senior or associate, or when you're in college I want to graduate and make $200,000 after I graduate. That's not realistic to how you're going to achieve something. In my opinion, again, let's look back in our own lives. Every year, everything is so different. Look back 5 years. Oh my gosh. 5 years ago, dude, I was a freshman in college now, which is still crazy. That was 5 years ago.
Yeah, no.
I was a freshman in college. I had no friends, overweight, did not know what I wanted to do in school. All I could think about was sports, fantasy football, things like that. If you would have told me 5 years ago, I would have left an almost six-figure job living in Chicago on the 45th floor apartment to now living back in my basement, launching a company and having a podcast, I would say you're crazy. Wow, why that's your life? But that's what life does to you. It changes every single year, right? When I was a sophomore, I wanted to work for the Dallas Cowboys. My junior year, I wanted to work for Bloomberg. My senior year, I wanted to work for Google. It changes every single year. So my advice for the goals is, what would make you happy in the short term? Where would you feel like you actually improving, right? 2 months from now, what would I be happy that I've done in the last 2 months? Is it maybe making having some more mentors? Is it making some money on the side? Is it starting a new project? That's how you should approach goals, right? Because I think everything happens, in my opinion, in a 4 month to 1 year long basis. That's when the big change happens, right? So what can I do in the next 4 months to a year that I would be satisfied with my own growth? You take that approach now, every year you're growing and you're having a new direction, but you're making progress the way you want to make your progress, because what you want always is going to change.
It always changes, and you can't plan ahead. As much as people say, we can make goals, you can't plan ahead, but sometimes things don't go according to plan, and honestly, you need to take it as it comes. So I totally agree with you on that front.
Yeah, I think, again, it's always funny when we look back. I feel like this is a very reflective podcast episode because we're thinking back so much about what we've done, but it's also thinking about our future, right?
Yeah.
So for your future, now I'm curious. Let's turn the clock forward. Let's dive
all right, let's do it.
Hop in the time machine.
Yeah.
What are some goals? You mentioned you're passionate about goals.
Yeah.
What are some goals you have for your own self in the next year, 2, 3 years, 5 years?
So I'll say my very long-term goal informs my 1 year, 3 year, 5 year goal.
I like that. Okay.
My lifetime goal is to build generational wealth for my family in partnership with my two brothers, Justin and Sean. And if you're watching this, Sean and Justin, love you guys, love you guys. We're going to do big things for this family. But yeah, so that's my big goal. I want to make sure that my family in the future and my family now, as well as my close friends or anyone that I might be surrounding myself with, is fine. They're good. That's the big dream, right? Yeah. And then you drill down, it's okay, how can I get there? So my brother and I, Sean, have been talking about real estate, investing in real estate. So we have a real estate timeline, right? Yeah. But we also have, it's not just about making money. It's about improving yourself as a person in order to get to who you need to be in order to make the connections that you will need in the future, inevitably. Exactly. No, exactly. So right now, I guess the 1 year goal, I guess the 5 year goal is to have a net worth of XYZ, which I won't disclose. And that's what I'm working towards now. But within the 1 year, my day to day kind of is based off of those goals. And you need to take care of yourself, professionally, personally, in terms of health, mental health as well, physical health. So yeah, I mean, I would say that's the whole goal, is just to build wealth and just make an impact on people while I'm here, and really build something for this family name.
And I'm just going to ask you, because I align a lot with what you're saying. Why is that your goal?
Why? See, now no one's ever asked me that question, but that goal, it's one, because I care about my family. I love my family. Everything I do is for my family. Seeing how hard my mom and my dad and also my extended family has worked, it's time for me to give back. I am the generation upcoming. Yep. That is why my family and also my friends, but also it's my goal because why not? I chose the biggest damn dream there is, and I'm I'm not stopping at anything to do that. And yeah, some people might be watching this and they might say, yeah, that's too aspirational. I'm not going to do that. Well, why would I listen to you? Like, you don't have a life that I want to live. So
Yes.
come on, like
Yeah.
you don't. Like,
if you're not trying to be where I'm trying to go, or
Yeah.
if you're not where I'm trying to go, then who are you to call me delusional,
yeah,
call me crazy?
exactly.
How
And
can
just
you be
watch
like that?
me, and like
Watch
5
me,
years,
watch
five,
me.
I don't care. Like, watch me, like that's it. But I think it's just, I've always had big dreams. I'm never gonna put myself in a box and limit myself. So I'm always gonna go out after the biggest thing that seems the most unattainable, and I'm gonna prove people wrong and attain that. And I want my family to be a part of this journey.
It's so funny because this is why we're friends now.
Yeah.
I'm a dreamer too.
Yeah.
And hearing you talk about generational wealth for your family.
Yeah.
It's funny because my brother who's behind the podcast right now, me and him are also, shout out Yash.
Shout out Yash, bro.
But me and him grew up with my dad, who we always refer to him. Like, some people in my family are like icons. My grandpa on my mom's side, he passed away just a couple months ago. But my grandpa, he was one of the most iconic people. He moved basically our entire family from India and Africa to America. My dad did the same thing for his family, and now he's afforded us the opportunity to live in a great house, go to these colleges, like live life that we have. My biggest goal is to pass my dad, because I want to be generational wealth. I want to be an icon. I want to do that. And it's, again, like, me and you, we're dreamers. We want to go achieve big things. I've also been, I think I call myself a little crazy, because ever since I was young, I always have had this like self-belief that I'm meant to be something and do something really, really big. I'm not meant on this earth to like be one of them. I'm meant to be one of one.
The mediocre masses,
I'm
if
not
you
meant
will.
to be a mediocre
Alex.
mass. I'm not here to be like part of the rat race. Like, that's not who I am. I'm here to like change the game for myself, people I care about, right? So, for example, when I talk about, you said you want to do real estate, things like that, it's funny. This is my dream. I want to figure out a way to make a shit ton of money, but also help everyone involved, right? So when I think about you talking about how that's what you want to do, I'm the same way. And my dad and my grandpa, all these people are such big influences on me. And that's what for me and my brother. Me and him always tell each other, bro, we're different. Reed, bro, we're different. Everyone is how they are, but we are different. We're so fortunate to have the bond we have and have the kind of like the leadership and the figures and the icons in our family that we have, because now we know what the goal is, what we can do, and what we're capable of. And again, part of this growth street thing is awesome, because the first day he came home, he just graduated 2 weeks ago, I was walking him through the entire business. I was like, this is the plan, this is what I want to do. And we both had this like sparkle in our eye where it was like, we're going to do this. Like, we're actually going to do this. And that's what excites me to do this every day, right? How you say, your long-term generational goals have generational wealth for your family. I have the same thing. And again, we approach it the exact same way. What can I do today, this year, to get one step closer to that? And that goal might always change, but the big goal is always there at the end.
Yeah, no, I'm at a loss of words for you, Darsh. Like, it resonates with me so much. Like, and yeah, there have been people in our lives, I'm sure, that just call us crazy or like cocky, whatever. But no, like, if
call me crazy all the time.
If you have it in you, you have it in you, and there is no one on this planet that could take that away from you. And all that you need to do, and this is also something that the audience should take note of, is surround yourself with like-minded people. Surround yourself with people who want to go the places you want to go, or around that same like universe.
You control your circle.
No, you do, and you are a reflection of your 9 closest people that you keep around. If you're in like, honestly, and I want to say this, like, in college, you do have some leeway. Like, you do have some leeway. We're still so young that the decision you make tomorrow is not going to inform your life for the rest of your life. Like, you have a chance to make mistakes. You have a chance to figure out who you need to be around and whatnot. I would say,
all learning moments.
No, that's
all learning.
And
every
even now,
every class, every internship, it's all a learning moment.
Yeah, and you just got to see the bigger picture, honestly. And the bigger picture is life. And like, don't zero in into one aspect of your life, because you're so much bigger than that. You're so much bigger than academics. You're so much bigger than who you're dating. Like, you're more than that, and you need to recognize that, and you need to get yourself to the next level in order to, I guess,
get to where you want to be.
Yeah, get to where you want to be.
And I think of this all the time, right? It's like, you really do control everything that happens for you, that where you want to go. Everything's in your control, every relationship, all that stuff. And I want to go back to what you were talking about. You're kind of tied to the people that you spend time with, because I think it's unrealistic. Some of these media influencers will say, oh my God, if your friend doesn't make much money, don't be his friend.
Yeah.
Or, he doesn't want to be a millionaire with you, don't be their friend. That's so unrealistic.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
We have people have history, we have deep friendships, we have family. That's not going to change. But what you can change is how often you're around people that you still want to be around, be like, right? So even like when I called you to be on this podcast, the moment that we got on the phone, we were on the same page about how we approach life, how we want to do this, right? And people that I'm working with, Ben, Ethan on my team, people that are some of my friends, my friend Kyle, not everyone is supposed to want to be a millionaire,
Yeah,
or
they're
want
not.
to have
They're
generational
not.
wealth, or want to be a dreamer. Not
Yeah.
everyone wants to do that, and that's so okay.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
If you want to live a simple life, simple's not bad. People think simple is bad. Simple's
it's
not
not.
bad. Simple is different for everyone, every other person. But whatever you want to do, surround yourself with people that will help you get to where you want to go, right? So I think for me, that's why when I was in college, I go back to the whole community thing, Phi Chi changed my entire game. And again, every organization, every fraternity, there's always good and bad, right?
Yeah, of course.
There's always good and bad. And some people in that organization called me crazy, but some people in that organization were like, "Wow, Darsh, like we're gonna do this, and we're gonna live special lives." And those are the people that I keep around me now because they're the ones who keep me inspired, keep me motivated, and also keep me accountable. Because I see all my friends now, doing all this amazing shit. You're working at Google, launching their own companies, traveling around the world. I'm like, these are my people. I want to do this with them forever. And same thing with my family and friends. So I think the biggest thing that it is like keeping yourselves around environments and people that is good because it's also hard, man.
Yeah, no, it is.
Like when you're living by yourself, when you're living at home, it's so easy to fall back into your old ways. When I came back home here, living in Monroe, I was used to living in college and Chicago, both rustling areas with tons of people, a lot of different, unique, aspiring people. Then I came home, I'm like, wait, I'm really like kind of back to like, I feel like I was high school me again. I'm sleeping in my bed. I was waking up at like 12 o'clock. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I have my laptop in my bed. I was like, I feel like I'm in high school again. And it takes an active effort to do these things. So I think my biggest advice to people who kind of watch this right now, when it comes to, figuring out your circle and where you want to go, is almost think about exactly the person you are, right? Okay, who do I want to be? Figure out what that is, number one. And then everyone in your life that is like that. Just start talking to them more. Yo, this is what I'm thinking about. I thought about you. Can we talk about it? Like, let's hang out. Let's catch up. Just start surrounding yourself with those environments. And all it takes is a little text or a call to start doing that. And those things start to kind of snowball and get the ball rolling for yourself to be in the space that you want to be in.
No, completely agree. And honestly, I want to say once you're out of college, you're not going to have as many friends as you did in college. I think a lot of friendships are due to proximity in college, but I think that's also why it's hard. Like when you leave college, it's like, who the hell, like I'm in New York City. Some people graduated the year before me. I know some people, but I don't have like a group. I don't have whoever. And it's just, you need to be okay with not having that whole entire, you don't need a lot of friends. People are meant to come into your life for a reason. They come into your life for a reason and they leave. Like the seasons change. You can't hold yourself to these people. But yeah, I think if you have a good core group of people that are inspiring you and pushing you to be better than who you were yesterday, that's all you need.
Yeah, I think it's funny you say that because I think a lot of the reason people struggle after college is they realize that they're back to ground zero. Because when you graduate college, everyone talks about your senior year for a reason because that's when you're him.
That's when you have your whole social status kind of thing.
That's
like,
when you walk around school, hey, everyone is here. And then you go back in your new city or you're at home and you're like, oh my God, I don't know one. Like my day is a lot different. So that's kind of where I'm excited to go to kind of like another topic with you is you're passionate about, I think, when it comes to your approach to life. We already talked about it so far. But when it comes to navigating your day-to-day and navigating kind of like success for you, right? Like for you, when you're in New York, how do you make your time in New York better than it was yesterday? How do you approach your days to where you feel every day when you feel accomplished in your day, you feel like you're having good growth, you're having more of the life you want to live? What took you from zero to where you are now?
Yeah, I would say definitely instilling a routine. So I literally sat down with myself. I live by myself in New York. I sat down, I wrote down, who do I want to be? Exactly what you were just talking about. And I said, what makes me happy as well? Because if you're not putting in little things that make you happy in your routine, you're not going to be happy as you're progressing through this journey to getting to who you want to be. Working out every day. That's one thing. That is how I basically get out of the house, because I only get out of the house just to go to work, and then I'm back, and then I go to the gym, and then, okay, fine, like I got out of the house.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard.
You still gotta get out though.
It's pretty hard. It's going to the gym. Like my day-to-day is very, very much evolved doing things that make me happy and knowing that I'm doing things that are good for me. So this is my routine. Like when I'm really crazy.
Walk us through a day in the life of
a day in the life. Okay, so wake up at like 4:30, right?
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, but to be fair, I do go to bed around like 8:30 or 9. So that's pretty. I'm pretty in bed.
So start over. So 4:30, you wake
4:30, wake up. Then I'll go brush my teeth, shower, whatever. Come back, meditate for like 10 minutes, and then I do some focus work for maybe 30, 45 minutes, and then I leave for the gym. I'm at the gym by like 6 a.m. I go to the gym, and then I come back. I make my green juice, which, by the way, like for some reason, last week I made my green juice and my throat closed, so I don't really know what's going on there. But
allergic reaction.
no, I don't really know what's going on there. But so I'm gonna have to rebuild the recipe list, I guess. And then I go to work for for the majority of the day, and then I come home and I just do another focus work session about 2 hours, and then I visualize, and then I read, and then I go to bed. And also phones off 1 hour prior to going to sleep because I'm really trying to take care of my sleep hygiene. So it's not it's not a lot of stuff in the routine, but I think I'm doing everything I need to do in order to make sure I'm healthy, make sure I'm mentally healthy, physically healthy, as well as I'm learning every day. I'm setting aside time to learn. I'm setting aside time to read.
What do you do in your focus? Like, what is that focus learning?
It varies day to day, and it varies week to week. I really just set out my goals, and I kind of see like what needs to be done this week in order to advance to the next step. So, and focus work doesn't have to be as crazy as like doing 2 hours of nonstop research. It could be literally applying to jobs. It could be like the smallest thing that you say you're always putting yourself off, like in terms of doing it, like just do it. Like just sit down. I'm just like, okay, I have a list. The night before I write a list of everything I need to do in the first focus work session. And I literally put it down. Like my whole quote is like, stick to the plan. Do not stick to how you feel in the moment. Cause you're going to feel when you wake up at 4:30 and you're starting to do this, you're like, why the hell am I up? Like, let me go to sleep. But literally I believe like if you have a plan, write it out the day before, just execute. All you need to do is execute, plan and execute. And all that matters is the execution of this plan, this routine. And if you do it every day, like Atomic Habits, you do it every day, you build it.
It becomes just part of who
1% every day will be 100% one day. Like you don't have to do it all. And yeah, I would say that's I don't even know.
That's the real though. And like, I have a fun relationship with that too, because when I started like doing this whole company thing, I would feel really unsatisfied if I did not get every single thing on my to-do list done. Yeah. So my biggest advice to everyone is like, you don't have to be at 100% to grow every day.
Yeah, you don't.
Like let's say you make a list of 10 things you want to do. If you do 7 or 8 of those things, obviously it's not the perfect day, of course, but you still actually made progress on what you wanted to do. Because you have to actually, what I call it's called assigning values. You have to assign values to everything. So for example, in your to-do list, not everything's equally the same thing. For example, like to you, the gym might be more important than to focus work. For me, doing vision work, like planning my future, is maybe more important than doing a certain interview for an internship, right? It's like, okay, how can I assign values to what I'm doing and then attack and make sure you're getting those big value things done. It's like your job, right? If you're working at a job and you have a really big project, but then you also have like side learning and like little modules you have to do, what's your boss going to be happier with that you're doing? What are you going to be more fulfilled with? Not the side learnings and the side modules. It's the big project that you have to work on. So I think in life, it's important to assign values to what you have to do, because if you assign values to them, it helps you know what to prioritize and then what's going to leave you fulfilled at the end of the day when maybe you don't get everything done. So that's the one thing I definitely approach.
And I think a lot of people, like me, I included, I'm a perfectionist. Maybe whoever's watching this is a perfectionist as well. And you will get upset if you're not checking off every single thing on your checklist.
I'm telling you, it's a tough relationship.
You need to give yourself some grace. Like I did something for me today. If you did one thing on that list, you need to just sit down at the end of the day and just be like, wow, I did that. With everything going on, with what's going on in my life, and everyone has personal issues that are always flying about and whatnot. Be proud of yourself for doing 1 thing, 2 things, 3 things a day. And as over time, you're going to start falling in love with what you're doing. And it doesn't even seem like you need to check it off the box because it's so fully ingrained in you and you're just going to do it naturally.
Yeah, I think, again, also part of that should also be things that, again, we talked about before, making you happy, because it's easy to hold yourself to objectively, I should be doing.
Yeah, should is an argument with reality. If you ever catch yourself saying I should, or I should have, or I should do that, like you are arguing with reality. You are thinking in the past, thinking in the future, and you are literally at an argument with what is in the present moment itself. And then you're going to fall into this loop of thinking. Don't say should.
Should is a trap.
No, it is. You're going to do what you need to do at the end of the day, and don't be mad at yourself if you don't do it or you do. There's a time and place for everything. And once you really want to, like, for example, I was deep in a depression like two years ago, a year ago. Like I got out of it when I was ready. I didn't force myself to do anything. I should not be feeling like this. I should be feeling like this, X, Y, Z. I was ready when I was ready. So don't like you said, no timeline to life. There's no timeline to your feelings. Just do what you need to do.
All you do is can control what you do today.
The present moment.
And if tomorrow's a better day. For example, it could rain for a year.
Yeah.
If you're worried about when the sun's going to come, it's going to feel like 10 years.
You're not in charge of that.
Yeah.
Focus
control
on what you can
control.
Exactly. And like Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius, like the discourse, like you should, anyone really should read it. I think philosophy has informed a great amount in my life, and I do like reading that before bed and kind of, just knowing myself, who I am as a human being and like an entity. So. And
that's what excites me. I'm ready to kind of go into some of those topics. Like, what's your favorite book, right? So now we have a segment called the Growth Street Minute.
Grove
which
Street
is where
Minute.
the Grove
Okay.
Street Minute,
Yeah.
Grove Street Studios here, where I'm just going to be asking you a couple questions, and you're going to just answer them pretty fast with
Oh,
a
you're
little
grilling me.
explanation.
Oh, okay, so let's go.
You're on the hot seat now.
Oh yeah,
man.
I'm
You're
on.
the
I've
hot
been
seat.
on the hot seat, but let's
So
do it.
on topics of Marcus Aurelius,
Yeah.
what is your favorite book?
Discourses.
Why?
Because it's basically a collection of his books, and I just think, honestly, there's a lot. Oh my God, I don't even know. I don't even know. There's so many. It's not really a book you read front to back. You kind of like take the passages as you go. And I think I've read it when I was in vacation 2 years ago, and then I'm rereading it now, and it has a completely different meaning. So I would say it keeps me grounded. Right before I go to bed, no matter what happened, and if I'm reading his text, like it kind of like, it reminds me of who I am as like a being. So I like that.
I like that too. Okay, so you said you read it sometimes when you're on vacation. So favorite vacation spot?
Okay, so we went to the Maldives, like with my family.
you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But honestly, I couldn't have gone there without my family. I'm not like
My
that.
parents
But
went 2 years ago. They said it was like the most
I'm
beautiful
telling
place
you,
I've ever
it
been
was
to.
beautiful. I went with my extended family, like my mom's sisters, my dad's. It was amazing, and I would totally go back. But it's bread, so we'll see. We'll see. I'll find myself back there in due time.
Yeah, okay. Next one I have is we met on the foundation of music. So who is your favorite artist?
I like Scory. I like Juice World. Aaron Fogelson, if you're watching this, we have a playlist called Knife Art. Like it's so funny. It's just like just sad boy stuff. But Scory is really good. I'll show you a song after
I know
this.
Scory and Polo G have a song. I forget what
telling
the
you,
name
I mean,
is.
he just dropped one with Sleepy Hollow today.
He sounds just like Polo G. He
No,
sounds very
literally.
similar to Polo G.
And when is Polo G dropping his album? Like
Probably
the
gonna be
label, like
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I would say Juice WRLD number 1, Scory number 2. And yeah, I don't really listen to music that much anymore, but when I do work out and whatnot, I'm listening to like the playlist Aaron and I put together, which has like a plethora of artists.
Yeah. So now we're going from artists to I want to go to people in your mentors, people in your life. Who is the someone that you really look up to? Who is like your big mentor? In
Easily
life?
have to say my parents, 100%. My mom and my dad, Rudy and Corinne. Love you guys.
Shout out Rudy and Corinne.
Love you guys. You guys have made a legend, and a legend I will be. Also, Sean, my older brother, he's 2 years my senior. Even like my whole family, every single person in my family has something to talk about. They're so successful. And even beyond that, they've been there when I needed them the most. And even when I might have pushed them away, they were there. And they helped me be the person I am today. And they're going to help me be the person I want to be. So I would say my family, my mentors, besides familial mentors, honestly, I would just say that.
Yeah, shout out to family.
Yeah, no, literally. Like that's all you really need, honestly. But
all right, and then from there, they say they give you good advice, so always there for you when you need them.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best advice that you've ever received or given to someone else?
my dad, when I was going through a tough time, he was always like, water under the bridge, water under the bridge. Like, this will all be water under the bridge. So like, it's like keeping your head up, like knowing that this time will pass, this too shall pass, however you want to put it. Know that your current situation is not going to be your situation forever, and just kind of be happy about that, even if you're in a negative situation. Everything in life is temporary. Everything in life is transient, and just embrace that. And that's what life is. It's just moment to moment. It's a never ending series of present moments. Like, that's all you need to think about. And yeah, I would say my parents have always instilled in me, like, don't worry, like, you're going to be fine. Like, everything is just going to keep flowing. And that's what it does. And that's what it has done thus far.
That's real. And then the next one from that is, what is your personal message to kind of like your younger self and all young people? Like, because I'm sure you have your own unique lived experience.
Yeah.
What is the number one thing, if you wish everyone could know, like, what is that thing?
Trust yourself. First of all, know yourself. Second of all, trust yourself. Like, you are the creator of your own life. You are the creator of your own destiny. If you don't trust yourself and you're making decisions based off of someone else's life, you're never being true to yourself. So you need to be able to look at yourself and say, hey, I can pick option A or option B. Yeah. Whatever option I pick, right or wrong, there is no right or wrong. Just live with the consequences of your positive or negative, of your choices. And it's just trust that everything you do is going to get you to where you need to be, regardless if in the moment it seems like you made the wrong decision. Everything plays a part into everything.
Now you're like Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, me tearing my ACL, had I not went to UMBC, I would not be sitting here today.
Yeah, seriously, like everything has, it's all destiny.
Yeah, everything literally happens for a reason.
Now maybe you need to write a book.
Honestly, I've been thinking about that. Maybe just everyone needs to stay tuned. I think the book will be coming soon. So,
what would your book be called?
Words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom from Nat Lou. I don't
Nat
know.
Lou.
Yeah, literally. No, but I've also been toying with that idea. So maybe we'll talk about that.
We can collab, guys.
Oh, for sure.
We'll add it to the bookshelf. We'll add it to the list.
Oh, you're getting the first copy, Darsh.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, one of my previous guests, he actually wrote this book. So my third or fourth guest, Bob McGlani, he's wrote 3 books. Make Your Own Luck. I just read this. Really good book. He's one book called Embrace the Chaos. He's really big on like, you know, life lessons and kind of helping people like learn from their mistakes and like figuring out how to approach life. So now when you write your book, I want to read that.
Signed copy. I'm there, putting it on your table. I'll send it to you to proofread. Honestly.
We'll do a part 2 when that comes out.
All right, let's do it. Happy to be here.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I could talk to you for a super long time. So I'm really curious now to just kind of get back to more tangible advice, because my whole thing with Growth Street is like, I really want to help people get to where they are, whether it's their professional dreams, whether it's their personal dreams, but for people to kind of end up or feel like they're getting closer, I call it to their next step. My goal is to help people get to their dream next step. So one thing I'm curious about for you is like kind of going to the more logistical things, like the internships and like the jobs.
Yeah.
How do you think someone who wants to work for a bank, for a Deutsche Bank, how should someone, if they're in college right now, say they have no experience, they're a sophomore, they're a junior, how can they get there?
Informational interviews, reach out, cold email people, cold call people. Cold calling is a thing of the past, but just you're going to get rejected 100,000 times, but just keep going, because someone is willing to help you and willing to put your name out there in front of a recruiter or whatnot. I would say work on your resume. Your resume is your lifeline at that age, because there's nothing else really to you. And be able to speak to it.
You on one page.
That's literally what it is, and maybe not even one whole page. Like you don't have that many.
Half a page.
Yeah, no, exactly. And just know your story, know what you're doing, but logistically, like always have your resume ready. Always fine tune it every month, 2 months. Yeah. Join clubs. Join social groups, that because you never know who you meet, and one day you might be able to leverage that relationship. Just be as social as you can in college, and if you're not in college, if you're just grinding, go to networking events, do informational interviews. This market, or not even market, just jobs in general, it gets past a certain point with what is exactly on your resume, because they are going to hire you if they like you and if people know you. So you need to start building those relationships in the company that you wish to work for, or industry that you wish to work for.
I think about it this way, right? You could be the most talented, let's say the most talented software developer of all time. But let's say you live in the jungle in Brazil, for example, in the Amazon rainforest. If no one knows who you're there, no one's going to find you, you're going to have no impact on the world. Some of the greatest athletes of all time, you know, they grew up in the smallest villages in the most remote countries, but they have to be exposed to grow. And I think about myself when I was in, you know, Maryland, when I was in Phi Chi. I think about my brother when he was at Penn State. We've gotten internships, we've gotten jobs, we've gotten opportunities. We've had moments because we're putting ourselves in situations to be around people. It's a law of attraction.
Yes.
Like, when you are putting yourself around things, that it's like you are manifesting, you are attracting things that will happen to you.
Manifestation,
and I get so mad because I talk about relationships in every podcast. I thought I watch it back. I'm like, dude, you're talking about the same shit over and over again.
Dude, it just means that it had an impact on you.
Exactly.
And you learned something.
It's the most important thing, in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's the most important thing. Everyone watching at home, take note on what you're saying, because that's the real. Everyone who's been on this podcast has been saying that for a reason. And another thing I'm curious about for you is not even getting a job. I think when you go to like internships, succeeding in school, how can you make it, college especially, feel like a place where when you get done with it, you feel like you actually had the experience you wanted?
Let me think about that one for a second. I would say really think big. Don't do what your friends are doing. Think about what you want from the experience and act on it. Take time outside of the social experiences and do those things. Yeah. And honestly, college is just a time to experiment, so no one is going to have it right. So I can't really give an answer saying you should do X, Y, and Z, and you're going to end up exactly like whoever. It's different for everybody. And I think just trust that day in and day out, you're just working to be a better person, and you're actually trying in school. Like, the grades aren't everything at the end of the day, but the work ethic that you develop from maintaining those grades or and whatnot, like the discipline you build, that's what matters. Like, I don't really, I wouldn't say that there's any one thing someone should do, but it's just enjoy your time in college. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Life is fun.
Don't
take yourself too seriously unless you do, like we do. Like, we love that shit. Like, don't force yourself to do that, but just experience and enjoy college, but also like do the basics, like join a club, like network within your college, like get your professors to write you like some letters, and the rest is it'll just come. Like, it's
a good balance of like doing what you're supposed to do, but also like doing what you want to do.
Yeah, and just finding out yourself. Yeah,
it's funny because when you say good grades,
grades is not.
For me, it's kind of chalk.
It really isn't. Like, C's get degrees. Like, honestly,
I'm a walking example.
Yeah, I mean, the one person, like if someone's getting a 4.0 day in, like a semester in, a semester out, like these people aren't, or these people are not going out and having these social connections, or there's always the grass is never greener on the other side. You can wish for really good grades, but a lot of people would prefer to have the connections that they establish in college and to have a 4.0 on a paper and know nobody.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is that everyone can get to where they want to be by leaning on what makes them special. So the reason I launched Growth Street was when I was in college, even afterward, I was getting to interview for the biggest companies like in the world: Google, IBM, Microsoft, Salesforce, LinkedIn. And I had I keep talking about this, but I had a really bad GPA and I was a communication major. But some of my friends who were in the Smith Business School who had 3.9s, 4.0s, who objectively on paper are doing way better than I am, were struggling to find jobs. And I always talk about it that the game is always changing. So my whole thing is that you have to know the game you're playing and you have to really lean into what makes you a differentiator, what makes you an X factor. Because my X factor, like if I was going into interviews and applications and highlighting my grades and my major, my academic experience, I would be doing myself a huge disservice. None of these companies would talk to me. But a lot of these students, they don't leverage what they're good at enough. So I think, again, you have to really, like when you go to school, it's like your time to realize, okay, this is my selling point. Figure out who you are and what makes you valuable. I think obviously you can be valuable to yourself, but it's like, if you want a job, that's the path you want to go down. It's what's valuable to them. And you have to almost like find a balance of what that is. So I think college is funny, man. I think like when I look back at it, I think again I keep talking about it's a learning experience. Like one thing I will say is like definitely have fun. Like if you don't have fun in college, like you're gonna look back like
time flies. Like you're gonna wish you had fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get it's like really your GPA and all that stuff is like just get your first job. Yeah. Like after you get your first job, like everything like college don't even matter anymore. So don't make college all about getting your first job. You know what I mean?
Agreed, 100%.
So kind of the last topic that I want to talk about is what makes me and you get fired up is about the idea of dreams. Dreams is a big thing. Yeah. Growth Street means a lot to a lot of people. To me, it's my dream. It's me growing out something that's bigger than me, bigger than the world, bigger than anything that I've ever seen. That's me, right? I'm a dreamer. Yeah. So I know you talk about generational wealth. I didn't ask you this in the Growth Street Minute, but what is like your dream like life? What does your dream life look like? Because you're a dreamer. I know you're a dreamer. I know you are.
Do what I want, when I want, obviously within reason, with who I want. That's it. I want to be able to have that kind of flexibility in my life that money, I think, could provide, wealth could provide, connections can provide. Yeah. So just simple, just doing what I want, when I want, with who I want. So that's what success looks like to me. And
it's funny because I think people say like, money doesn't buy happiness. Like, bro, you're capping.
We can get into that in another podcast, but money, like people who say that are usually the people that are like not making anything.
Or got a lot of money.
Yeah, that's true. But honestly, it's true. Like, do not like, money should not be your end goal. Money is going to come, but you need to figure out your why. If you're just doing it for the money, you're going to burn out quick.
It's like don't work for money. Try to find ways for money to work for you.
No, exactly. That's the big thing. Exactly. I mean, I think everyone needs to get their why down packed. Like if it's for money, which is fine temporarily, but in the long term, it cannot be for money. It needs to be for something that money cannot buy. Yeah. So I think that's how I approach it.
Yeah, I think a big thing is like you need money to have like a certain level of like life comfort that you want to live. Like for example, everyone always is like talking about, the healthcare system is bad, or I can't afford this for my parents, or I can't live in a certain house, I can't afford a college for my kids. That objectively will be solved by money, right? But at a certain point, you get past that, it's like obviously fulfillment and things of that nature. But I think a big thing is like, if you chase a dream, and that's something I'm passionate about, if you chase your dream and whatever you love to do, if you do a good job in anything in life, if you're the best janitor, if you're the best author, if you're the best dancer, if you are objectively the best at what you do and you work on that one thing, the money will come. People chase the money when you should be chasing, in my opinion, what is for you. Because if you do that and you're the best out there, like let's say you're the best plant potter in the entire U.S., money will follow you because you're the best at what you do.
People need the plants potted,
People need the plants potted, bro. At University of Maryland, there's a basket weaving major. Do you know that? There's a major for basket weaving?
Honestly, I had no idea.
But someone out there in the U.S. making $200,000, $300,000
easy.
Basket weaving.
Yeah, I mean, you really, like you say, you really have to find what you're good at and you got to hone in on it. Like you can't, there's not enough time in the day. There's not enough energy in a human being to do 20 different things and try to get good. Like just start with one. Focus your efforts on that. Like do not try to spread yourself thin, which I think a lot of people will do. But yeah.
And I think a lot of people realize this too when, for example, I talk to a lot of kids or a lot of post-grads who were recently laid off. And they come to this realization, they're like, wait, I'm actually like kind of nothing. Like,
who are you besides your job, besides your title? Figure that out before you get the job.
Seriously, and a company can literally say,
oh yeah,
you're done.
You're disposable.
You're so disposable.
At all of these companies, you're disposable. You can go gone in one day. If you
and guess what? They keep going.
Yeah, they keep going.
You can literally
die. They do not care about you. That's a big thing.
It's not saying that they're in the wrong for that. They're in the bad for that. But they're
a business.
They're objectively so valuable that you're inherently not as valuable.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's true.
So I think the big thing that I approach, I'm trying to do with this whole grocery thing too in life is like try to be of actual value. Yeah. Find a way to be of value
to others.
yeah, not even if it's to your job, but to your life, to your family, to your friends, whatever it is, to your community. If you can find yourself to be a value, everything will work out. Because then you won't put your value in things that are not. You should not let other things dictate your value.
Yeah, agreed.
You dictate
External.
your own value.
They should not be external factors.
But if people let their whole job or whatever consume their lives with something that they don't love, their value is now being dictated by what they're doing. It's like the same reason why,
which is fragile.
It can
change.
It's the same reason why, like, schools in, India and China, their grade standards are so high that it leads to, like, self, removal and stuff like that. And, like, that's because their value is so predicated on that. I'm not saying it's right and wrong, but again, I think it's important to, like, when you focus on the dream, it also makes you have a positive mindset. Because if you're focused on chasing a dream, you're focused on, like, the best case scenario. Whereas if you're focused on making enough money, almost that's a negative approach to where you're thinking about, I have to have a certain thing to keep myself alive and happy.
Exactly.
And then
you're recognizing the lack of currently. Never recognize the lack within you. You have everything you need to succeed. Yeah, exactly. And that's where you should be reframing it.
But now we could literally, this is funny because we could literally talk, I think, for like
for sure.
7 hours.
I like a good yap.
I know, we always get deep. That's what we do.
Yeah.
But I think, again, like, a big thing about this podcast is, like, understanding people's approaches to life. Because what I will say is the reason I'm so glad I had you on is I invite people on who are doing really big things and unique things, who have also succeeded and gone through shit. Mm-hmm. Like, you have gone through things. Like, I didn't even know. You tore your second ACL the day you were back. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. I cannot imagine when your whole life is built around playing basketball, and then that happens to someone. And again, like, I'll be real, like, as a friend, I'm so proud of you because you did that, you've gone through that, and then you changed your life, you picked up around you rediscovered who you are, and, you've gone through things like depression, anxiety, but guess what? As your dad said, water under the bridge. And look what you're doing now, bro. You're taking over New York City. Yeah. You're doing all these big things. Like, you're sitting here dropping like nuggets of knowledge. Like, you're dropping
nuggets
bombs
of knowledge,
on people, bro.
if you
I'm
will.
serious.
Yeah.
And when you have your book and when you have generational wealth, like, that is a thing you're going to be so proud of. So, for one, I so much appreciate you for coming here because
thank you for having me.
There's like nothing more I love than one, I love to listen to this because I actually get to learn from my friends and people that I really care about. But also, I know someone watching this at home is going to watch it like, damn, like, I'm going through some shit, or I needed advice on this, and they just got it. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's incredible to see your growth, like, over the past 5 years that I guess I've known you. Like, time really does fly. But I'm so humble that I'm here and I get to be your 10th episode, and I'm just excited to see where you end up in 2 months, 4 months, 2 years, 20 years. Let's see where it goes.
We're about to take over.
Oh, 100%.
That's what we're here to do.
We're climbing to the top together for sure.
We are. And again, like, I'm telling you, when you have your book here, we're on part 2. It's going to be a whole new thing.
I'm going to send you guys a copy, and Yash for being such a good cameraman.
Yeah, shout out Yash. But I also want to give you your moment here where, you mentioned so many people in your life, so many opportunities, so many things that have happened in your life that you're so grateful for. And then you care about, you care about your music and all those things. So this is your moment to have your shout out. You talk to the camera, whatever you want to say.
Oh,
this
brother.
This is your moment to have your touch to the audience.
Yeah, I mean, my mom and my dad, they're not on LinkedIn, but I'm going to send them the raw download of the video. Sean, you mean so much to me. You're doing really big things. I'm so proud of you. Justin, same as you. Same with you. I love you, and I'm excited to see what we built for this family, and everything that I've done has been for you guys, and it will continue to be for you guys. Aaron Fogelson, you have been there with me, thick and thin. Kristen Techlitz, love you. You guys are the people in my daily support system that have gotten me to where I need to be. And last but not least, Darsh, thank you. Like, you have literally changed my perspective on things. Being here has been such a treat. I'm going to go home and I'm going to grind, and I'm going to see what the hell the next year or two has in store for me. So I really do appreciate everything. Thank you.
Now, I appreciate you. We're on a mission, and again, we're here at Growth Street. We're here to grow.
Yeah, we're growing.
So again, it's gonna be a long street. There's some turns here, some turns there.
Oh, we're chilling though.
A detour maybe, but we're here. I mean, I think the universe brings people together for a reason. The universe brought us together for this reason. Yeah. I'm sure we'll have a lot more to come in the future. So one thing, bro, like you're like your family, bro. Yeah. So I appreciate you coming here, really talking to everyone. Yeah. And being a part of my dream. Yeah. You're now a part of my dream again. 10th episode. Bro.
I'm happy to be there. Let's go. 10th episode.
That's dope. So,
it's pretty big things.
Yeah, it is. And again, we have a lot of work to do, a lot of laughs to have. Yeah. Birthday's coming up. You're gonna be invited to my birthday. We're gonna have a good time.
I'm there. The city. Let's go.
Yeah, we're gonna get after it. So. Yeah, man, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Darsh. Really,
it was dope. Yep. And after all that, cut, fire. That was fucking awesome.
Was it though?
That was so good. Yeah.
Was it though?
Yeah. Seriously. Let's go. That was awesome.
That shit. Yeah. for sure.
I'll tell you. Tell me that shit.
Yo, no, we were yapping, bro. We were yapping like shit.
No, actually, that was actually awesome. I wanted to dap all y'all up like so many times midway through.
Yo, you were taking notes, right?
Oh, I was. No, so many of the things you said. No, see, this is what I was thinking. I was like, there's just finds these people and they're just like us. I'm telling you, brothers. I was like, this shit. I was like, that's awesome. Bro. That's so awesome.
Nah,
I'm happy to be here, bro. This shit is amazing. I'm so happy I got to be here.
This is the one thing that I get to do. This is the one thing that gives me so much life.
Yeah, we're doing it.